First job you're going to do is remove this plastic cover. It's really easy held on. It's just a couple of bump clips. Left here, remove it out of the way. Okay, the first thing you're going to want to do with the oil change is drain the oil. So you'll have to locate the sump plug. And on this particular 1.4 307 HDI, it's just under the driver's side and it's very well located and easy got at. It's here. You'll need a 21mm socket and a ratchet, and that should be all you need to loosen it up. Now, word of warning, do not do this whenever the vehicle is warm, or you will get very hot oil on your hand. And make sure that you have a drum or a bucket below the vehicle that will hold at least 5 litres. Yummy, nice black oil. Once it's drained, make sure you've got a plug and a copper washer. Ideally you want to replace the copper washer whenever you put this plug back in, but for now set the two of them off safe to the side so you know where they are when you come back to them. Next thing is to locate the oil filter, which in this vehicle is down here to the right hand side, just below the battery. 27mm socket required to screw that out. A few gentle taps to free up the plastic, and then the filter should go easily. That's the old filter out, so the next job is to remove the cartridge out of the housing, slot the new cartridge in, and then we'll screw the whole thing back together. Right, now it's time for the filter. So with this Peugeot, it's different to some filters in that it has to go into its own slot first. A little bit of oil around that seal, slot the filter in, lining the two up. So that's this filter in. You can see that there's no shake in it. Then we're going to take the cap, press the cap in, make sure it starts in the right thread, and we screw it out. You don't want to go too tight. Once you get to the last bit, just a gentle push, and that's the filter locked back into position. Alright, it's time to reinstall your oil plug. Make sure that you have the copper washer on the plug, or preferably replaced it with a new one. Back up in. This can be very fiddly, but make sure you have it in the proper threads. You do not want to strip the threads on your sump. That's one of the worst things you could ever do. It's back in the proper threads. I'll tighten that up using the socket. So you don't want to go too tight with this, that you'll strip the threads on, just sort of a gentle tightness. A little bit of tissue paper, I'll clean around that, fill it up with oil. And next we're going to fill it up. This 1.4 holds 3.8 litres of 5W30, which is what we're using in Ireland here. Fill a cap right in the middle of the engine, really easy to get at. I put in 3.5 litres of engine oil so that we don't overfill it. We'll let the car sit for 5 minutes and then we'll test the dipstick, and if it needs any more we'll add it. If not, we'll seal the car up and that's the oil change complete. Time to check the oil after the fill up. Pull the dipstick out, piece of tissue or an old cloth, wipe the dipstick off, replace it back in, wait a few seconds and take it out. So as you can see, the 3.5 litres have taken it nicely up to the top of the fill line, so it won't need any more oil and we're good to go. Replace the dipstick, engine cover back on, car serviced. Now the finishing job. Once you're done, just put your cover back on, replace it on, line it up, and then just one firm push and that's your cover held back into place.